to Wild Moos. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Amy.
And we are bringing you a real, raw and raucous podcast.
An unfiltered truth behind running a business and running a family.
Dive in.
Hey.
Yeah.
I have got no clue what episode we're on. What is this?
Season 2, episode 3.
Woohoo! And we are not alone. The love of Ted's life.
The love of Ted. The
Welcome.
love of terriers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit sad that Ted's not allowed in to join us.
Yeah, he's too noisy. It's the squirrels, man. If the squirrels come past, he's out and he's yapping away, so
Me
Ted
too.
is the dog.
it's a no from me.
It's a no from me. I'm not investing in you, Ted. Not today.
So we have the wonderful Debbie Lewis on, and we are so excited to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for sharing our space.
Thank you for inviting me.
We have spoken about you quite a bit,
We have actually.
My ears have been burning.
Have they?
Did you edit out all of the bits that you thought, oh, we can't let her hear that we said that?
No, never actually edited anything when it came to you. Kept you in, real,
Thanks.
raw and authentic. Because we have nothing but beautiful stories to say, beautiful things to say. We love you, Debbie Lewis. We're proper girl crushing on you. And we do, when we talk about you, we kind of go, oh, Debbie. And I know that Katie Godfrey does as well. And I know that anybody that worked with you does.
I've duped you all.
And how cool that we're all kind of coming together and doing stuff. Did you know that this would happen when we were on that cohort? Like,
If I'm honest, I always feel that people who I really connect with through coaching, I know I'm going to be connected to for a long time.
Yeah.
But as you know, as it has been with you guys, it drifts in and out. And
Yeah.
It'd be sad if not, right?
yeah, it would be, wouldn't it?
Because you invest your energy.
Yeah, you've invested, but you've given us so much time and energy, and you're invested in our businesses and our growth. It'd be a real shame for you to not be part of seeing what happens.
But that's the whole thing about finding your tribe, right? There will be lots of people who have worked with me and I have worked with them, and we'll both be quite happy never to see each other again. But we probably knew that at the time as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you find your people.
So we should probably talk a bit about how we all found each other, because this lovely three-way is the inception of our relationship together, right?
A match made you,
You did.
in a way.
Yeah.
And Katie Godfrey.
But were you on the mid COVID lot?
So ours was due
lockdown?
to finish
Cohort.
at the end of March, wasn't it? And then it finished a little bit earlier because of COVID.
Mm,
So I was on that cohort. So it was your second.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I only done one, and so did Katie.
You were definitely on before,
Yes.
and then Katie joined, and then you.
Yeah, it was me and Katie on the same one. Yeah.
And then I got up the duff, I think, and exited very quickly.
Well, I only remember you from doing your
Avatar.
your avatar piece when we were sitting on those beanbags.
Yeah.
I remember that because that was really interesting. Because I had just got into franchising then, hadn't I?
Yeah.
I think. And I mean, I probably look back at that application for the accelerator program, thinking, "What the hell?" Like, it's so. I feel like a completely different person. Mm.
To do a proper interview, because this is pre-lockdown, so there wasn't an interview on Zoom, was it?
No, it was a real in-person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Debbie's Den style.
Yeah.
Sell me your business.
Oh God.
You do great.
What is
Can't
it you're
remember
looking
that.
for when you do that? When you do those interviews, like, is it in person still now? For...
Yeah, we're back to in-person now. I think what we're looking for is mindset and somebody's ability to be able to scale. So most businesses can grow. They're growable. Very few businesses are scalable. But actually the defining factor that we see is the business owner. How much do they want it? What's their plan? How organised is their shizzle? Where could we add value? Because sometimes people come in, well, I have to because I'm a natural swearer. So I've got to find alternatives. And sometimes people come in and they've got absolutely brilliant businesses. Their shizzle is so sorted out and they know it.
Yeah.
And then you kind of go, what are we going to be able to help you with for the next 6 months? It's kind of, they're not open to, they're like, oh, what? I don't know what more you can give me or teach me. And I instantly then I think, well, you could be the best PR story on earth, but if we haven't added value, you're not a great community member. So yeah, it's definitely a little sprinkle of that.
How much of it is about being coachable as well, the individual or the owners?
So on paper, very much. In real life, actually, some people will really surprise you. So I remember vividly, there was a chap who shall remain nameless who came for an interview, and I spoke to him and I thought, he sounds like he's really got everything sorted out, but I can see cracks.
Yeah.
And my colleague said, no, don't think they're coachable. I just think they've got everything. And I said, please, we used to call them wild cards. Can I take him as a wild card? I really think that there's something there. And I'm not often right, and she was wrong. Very rarely. She was always right, damn it. But in this situation, it was exactly that. He just learnt to tell a story for so long about being great. And actually the business was really terrible. But he didn't let people in. And I think we got to about month 4 of 6 before he would even share his turnover figures. Because he was kind of, why do I need to share that with you? It's private, personal information.
It's hiding too much.
Wow.
Yeah. And for me, that was like a personal challenge.
Yeah,
of, right. And actually came on, did a second cohort, and we really got under the bonnet. But he had to have a real mindset shift.
Fascinating. What's your biggest success story from Accelerator Programme?
In Milton Keynes, our biggest success story is Holy Moly. Moos is a close second.
I actually thought you were going to say Arthur Ellis.
Arthur Ellis is doing phenomenally
I love
well.
him.
But I mean, what's success, right? We've got people who, in fact, I'm sure Rebecca won't mind me name checking her. VR therapies, when she came on for an interview, she, on paper she didn't meet the criteria. She was too early stage, and Sharon at the time said, I want to give her my wild card. I just see something. She's gone on to be a global speaker. She's running a physical therapy centre in Northampton. She's got a team, grown a family. Like, she's done incredible things. But on paper, she didn't meet the eligibility criteria. So, John has had an incredible journey, but Holy Moly,
I love their salsa. The red pepper salsa.
They really catapulted, didn't they?
Yeah. 2 really smart guys who were in corporate jobs, who were friends, who just had a great idea and took it from inception to investment over 6 years. So really short trajectory of success. And they're still growing. They're not sitting on their laurels. They've not sold out. What else can we do? What's next? What's more? And their brand is awesome.
It is really cool.
Not as good as movies.
You're too kind. It is an awesome brand though, and I love it.
Yeah.
So then, were you through that whole stage with them when they were getting investment? Like, what part of their business growth were you part of?
I would love to say that I was really close to it and it's all because of me, but actually I never coached them.
They weren't one of mine.
They were successful despite my intervention.
But NatWest,
they came to us for cohorts they were on programme when I joined, NatWest Accelerator, and then they were there for another cohort, and most of their success happened after. But there's no doubt that they still now got a text from them a couple of months ago, can you connect me with this person? The connectivity in the community they still rave about to this day. But would they have done it without us? I think they would have done.
Maybe, but I think it's the confidence, isn't it? I feel like if I look back to my time at NatWest, it was the confidence it gave me to stand in my power and be a business owner and have it.
Yeah.
And that was from lots of different things. That was from you, but it was also from the community, and it was from being around other businesses, other like-minded people, and you're like, there's more people like me. I get this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know we've spoken about this a lot, is people who are successful are just successful versions of the rest of us. We are all just human beings. And I think when you join an accelerator program or any business community, there is an element of, oh crikey, if they can do that I absolutely can. So there's a lot of kind of affirmation and reassurance, but also the shortcuts. I think the shortcuts are the beauty of being connected to so many business owner. You say something at the coffee area and someone else says, oh, I know somebody who does that. Like, how are you connected to them?
I think the accelerator for me personally was such a huge foundation for what I could do and I could achieve after leaving corporate and setting up, not having the foggiest about what I was doing, but trying to build something. It was so reassuring, but also a hell of a lot to learn in a short period. And I recommend it now to any business owners that are struggling with those, you know, a business plan or who do I go to for this? Where do I go to for that? So I think it's a really, really unique program. Do you want to share what the criteria is now for the accelerator?
Yes, and we're actually coming up to our 10-year anniversary.
No way.
Yeah, a decade.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, a decade of supporting businesses. And when they very first started, it was real entry level. It was baby basics. It was people starting businesses. And now the eligibility criteria, it's not set in stone. We don't have you need to turn over X amount, but there are very few people who are turning over less than £4,000 a month. Yeah. There are very few people who are not seeking in some way investment, and people who are looking at maybe internationalisation, franchise, licensing. There's got to be a growth plan.
Yeah.
So there still isn't black and white criteria of you need to be all these things. But if your business is a real business in its own right, you're not just playing at an idea.
It's not a side hustle.
Well, even side hustles can get on the programme as long as you've got the capacity to grow it in that 6 months. But less side hustles we see. And these are basically business owners who need a little bit of direction, support, a bit of rocket fuel in the tank. But that rocket fuel is not going to blow the doors off. It can't be. It's less likely to be a one-person band, because how busy do you want to be?
Yeah.
Like, going through the programme gives you so many ideas and so many opportunities. If you're just working on your own, it's very hard to optimise and take advantage of that. But I wish it existed when I run a business.
So good. Right, Debbie Lewis.
Dun, 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 dun.
So we picture ourselves as the real, raw, and raucous, unfiltered truth of running a business. You've had multiple businesses.
Yeah. More failed ones than successful ones,
Really?
but we'll focus on the successful
Hey,
ones.
you taught me once you've got to fail fast and learn quickly. That's the number one rule, right?
Yeah, I learnt far more from failure than I ever did from success. And that's not just a cheesy catchphrase.
So tell us how did... Well, yes, you can, of course you can, but where did it all start?
As far back as I can remember, the only thing I wanted was a better life, inverted commas.
Yeah.
So growing up, and I really giggle when I tell this story, because growing up and being homeless and living in awful council estates in Cambridge, when you have no accent, doesn't sound quite as gritty as anywhere else in the country. But my reality was everybody I went to school with lived in beautiful thatched cottages and had the opportunity to go to, beautiful holidays. And actually my dad was a taxi driver, my mum was a cleaner, and we really lived kind of day to day. And I was very loved. I had an amazing upbringing, but we had nothing. And I'm quite grateful we could never afford shell suits, because now I look back at the pictures and I'm grateful we were that poor.
Is it just you, or did you have siblings?
Just me, only child, not through lack of trying on my mum's part. She had, I think, about 11 miscarriages and a hysterectomy, and she had a horrible time. So I was very, very fortunate, but my mum moved out quite early in my formative years, and so it was me and Dad. And I always felt like no matter what school I went to, I was so blooming average or below average. So I was average academically, I was average socially. And I think I learned, and I hear a lot of comedians say this, I learned that by entertaining people liked you more. So even though you didn't have the best house and the best parties and the best... Actually, if you had a bit of a personality about you, people would invite you to things. So I did really quickly get quite confident. And a lot of that was false confidence and fake confidence. And I know you hate fake it till you make it, but back then that was my mantra. And it got me so many opportunities. And I started working when I was... Because back then you didn't have the laws you had now, because I'm an old dinosaur. Working in salons when I was 13, and that gift of the gab and connecting with people, I really learnt that people were my superpower. And I loved working in a salon, and I'd actually, through this confidence, got more confident in school, and I said, I want to be a beauty therapist. And my teacher was horrified and said, I think we can aim a bit higher than that. And I went home to my dad and I remember saying, but Dad, all I've ever loved is being in a salon. Like, I really want to work in a salon. I was maybe 14. So he agreed that we would scrimp and save and get me onto an evening class. So I learned and I qualified as a beauty therapist at 15 before doing my GCSEs. And so I was employed in a salon when I was 15 years old doing nails. And I just have never left the salon industry since then. It's always been my safe space, my happy place. And I love how salon environment makes me feel. But I just always felt really frustrated about the lack of opportunity, the low pay. And my brain needed a bit more than what I was getting from that role. Lovely conversation, but not a lot of stretch.
Yeah.
So I decided I'd go to university, as you do when you've got no money and no one in your family's ever been to university.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what on earth can I do that's salon related? And I remember going to the college open evening and saying, I want to do a degree, but I love beauty. And they kind of looked at me and went, science then. Because back then there was no degrees, there was no option to do anything higher. So I did a degree in medical biology, 4 years.
I didn't know this.
Yeah. I did. My work experience was in a mortuary. I have held a human brain. So, and all the time.
Did you enjoy it?
I hated every bit of it.
4 years.
4 years. It was painful.
And where did you do it?
University of Hertfordshire, in Hatfield. And to get through university, because I was living with just my dad, I had to work 4 jobs a day. Every day. I used to get up, crack of dawn, carer. And then I would go and do my studies, and then I'd go and work in a salon, and then I'd work in a restaurant, which is where I got fed, and then I'd work in a bar. So I literally, from 5 in the morning until midnight, I would be working.
From what age?
When I went to university.
So 18?
So what age do you go to university? 17, 18 until 2021.
You sound so tired.
I spent my whole life being tired and working, but I am a workaholic.
Yeah.
I don't know how to just switch off and chill out. I think as a result of years of doing that.
So what do you, now that you've had all these learnings, you've got this self-awareness, how do you switch off?
I very rarely switch off. I love spending time with my friends. I love laughter.
Yeah.
I love just chatting nonsense over a bottle of wine. Yeah. Please drink responsibly.
Lovely disclaimer.
What's your favourite wine though?
But my friends will tell you, if they say let's go for a spa day, 2 hours in I'm bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
I hate just
You
doing
love
nothing
that
like
connection though. It's people for you, isn't it? And also, like, you're a foodie. You love really nice restaurants.
I mean,
and
I
stuff.
don't know what gives you that impression.
No, because every time
your
I see a
social feed
media,
is full of
going out for dinner.
Food is life.
Yeah.
Food is life.
Food and wine.
God bless stretchy pants.
No, but I don't think it's that. Like, we laugh and joke about it, but I think Amy's right. It's about that connectivity piece, and you cannot beat bonding with a group over breaking bread together.
Yeah,
like
it's my absolute favourite
It's
thing.
a beautiful
love
thing
bread.
to
Yes, 100%. And when you look back at all of that stuff and where I am now, it's like, I mean, I could literally bore you to death for hours about that windy journey. It has been, I have done so many things and tried so many things. I've been homeless a number of times. Not in the kind of sleeping on a cardboard box, in a street kind of way, but at university, when you would get to the summer holidays, everybody would go home, but my dad had remarried and moved away. I literally had nowhere to go, so I would sofa surf. And then I realised getting a job as a holiday rep was much more fun, so I would work as a holiday rep through the summer.
Where did you go? I didn't know.
Magaluf.
Oh, I could totally see you doing this.
I loved
as well.
it. I was living my best life, and so whilst other people might say trauma, these things happen to you, I was just vibing with opportunity. And I not from being in a place of therapy or mindset training, or just I kind of ended university on the Friday, thought, oh my goodness, I don't have a plan, and then went, pivot, I'll go and do this. And they always, touch wood and thank you God, I just always landed on my feet and had the best time.
Attitude and mindset though, isn't it?
It really sounds like you refuse to be a victim in every single one of those circumstances.
Or it was never as bad as it could have been.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like, when I look back on my life, I really don't think I've had incredible hardship.
Yeah.
But I also have had it far from easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then what was your first business?
So, I finished my degree and I got a job teaching. And about 3 weeks into teaching, I thought,
teaching beauty or
no,
teaching
teaching science.
Oh, right. The subject you hated.
The subject I hated, and because I got a degree in it, so I was kind of like,
I've got to do something with this.
This is supposed to be what you do when you're a grown up, right? And also, the real reason I took the job as a teacher is I was still homeless and I needed to find somewhere, so I needed a proper pay. And where I'd always done these little jobs, I needed a proper career. So I got a teaching job to get a mortgage. And I bought my first house, 45 grand. Thank you very much.
Where was it?
Wow.
Houghton Regis. A tiny little, it's now the size of my garage.
Yes.
But that was my first investment as a grown up. And then I hated teaching, and this was the thought process. I just need to be in a salon, but I've outgrown, I've managed, I've done all these things. I just need my own. I'll buy one. I had no money. And my parents had no money, and I just 3 months into a teaching career. So I literally...
I know, but I'm in. I'm so invested in this story. Like, I'm going to be like mouth open. Like, tell me more, Debbie, please.
Keep it going.
I literally pounded the pavements of the high street banks at the time, and I went in, and most of them laughed me out the door. And with my little project pack, hilariously, my salon was going to be called, wait for it, The Clinic. God bless the bank manager who went, it sounds a little bit like where you'd go after a dodgy holiday. So I changed the title.
Yeah, pivot.
And I met this incredible bank manager, a woman who listened to my brain vomit and went, because of everything you've been through and everything you've done and your life experience and blah, 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 she said, I really think you've got something here. I really want to help you. However, we just can't lend to somebody like you. It's too risky. You don't have any... I got this house, but I was 120% mortgage. And she said, but leave it with me. Let me see what I can do. And it just turned out that the government had a scheme at that time where they would lend to people. I love that she gave me the list. She was like, have you ever been in prison? I was like, nope. Do you have any disabilities? Nope. There were 3 or 4 things, and I was like, I just don't meet these criteria. And she said, have you within the last year completed a university degree? I was like, yes. Yes, I have. And she said, I think we can get you in under this scheme. So the bank agreed to lend me 100% of the money. I bought my first business for £30,000. It was a small hair salon with 3 team members, and it turned over, I don't know, £20,000 a year. It was small.
Yeah.
And I turned up on day before Christmas Eve, because it had taken so long to go through. Key in my hand, £5 in my bank account. No lies.
Yeah.
Turned the key in that door, spoke to these people who kind of looked at me as if, who is this child who thinks they're going to run this business? Because they were all twice my age and long in the tooth of experience.
Yeah.
And I have never been more scared than I was on that day, where I thought, I've now got a business loan that is nearly as big as my mortgage. So my house was 45 grand, my business was 30 grand. I had no safety net. My parents, nobody had been to university, nobody had money, nobody had run a business. I had never had a mentor. I did not know how to run a business. But I just kind of had a feeling that it was going to be really good fun.
But you had this
You
spirit.
had the belief, yeah.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
And was that the salon that you turned into your 3 salon business?
Yeah. So we
was it called?
Arcana.
Oh.
The funny story behind the name is, because I literally knew nothing about business.
One word name, just put it
One word name, beginning with an A. And someone in marketing said to me, if you come up with you've got a paper letter, if you've got your signage, so a short word's better. And if it begins with A, whenever you're on a list of anything, you get the first opportunity. I was like, what a great idea. Literally went through the dictionary. Arcana means a secret or mystery in Old English. I love it.
That's a really cool name.
It is,
cool.
yeah.
Sadly, I sold it with the business, so I'm hoping at one stage in the future
You need to buy that back.
I can get it back.
Yeah.
And the first couple of years, I had such enormous success. Like now I look back and I just laugh. I literally have £50 notes in bedside drawers and in handbags and driving 4x4s with designer handbags. And who did I think I was? But I had zero grip on my finances in the business because I'd never in my life had money.
Yeah.
And now I suddenly had loads of money, but I didn't know what to do with it or how to make it. I wasted so much money.
So what drove that money though? How did it go from 20 grand to then you driving your 4x4s with your fancy handbags?
Because I was a really good people person.
Yeah, so it was to building the reputation.
Reputation build, the best team ever. And I know people say, you know, when you go to work, you want it to feel like family. And other people say that's dysfunctional. It should not feel like family. But it totally did feel like family in the early days.
Yeah.
And I think my optimum staffing level was 8 in the one premises. And I had 47 staff in one premises by the time I had reached the peak. So that was when I loved it and I was in it every day and we had fun and it was amazing.
And you were doing beauty?
So I started off by introducing beauty into the hair business. So that was my contribution, if you like, to the income. Very quickly, we got very busy. We built a second beauty room and I then was on the desk. I was front of house really from year 2. So I didn't really do treatments for very long, but it was the team and me and our dynamic and the culture we set. And I loved good people and gravitated towards incredible people. And they would come in and make magic in the salon. And then we never paid to advertise. We never needed.
Didn't need to because it's just a vibe, isn't it? People want to be part of it, with or without you.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
true. We're having the time of our lives. Come along for the ride if you want.
Yeah, and with that then comes a lot of press and coverage and the imposter syndrome I felt from I knew nothing about business to you are the young, because I was still under 30, you are the young poster child of women were not running businesses back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It was quite unusual. And yet to me, I was just doing what I'd done for the last 10 years, which was winging it, having fun and just sticking with it if it was good and leaving it if it was bad. There's no plan, no strategy and no help. I didn't reach out to anyone.
So when did the second salon come in?
If I'm honest, it's all a bit blurry. I'm not good with dates. I think we were year 6 and I had already done 2 refurbs to expand the existing business. We were already open 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. We had an enormous team and we were still turning people away. Now, business coach me would go, raise your prices.
Yeah.
But at the time I was like, we need bigger sites. So I invested in a second salon. It was the biggest investment I'd ever made personally. It was £80,000 worth of refurbishment.
Was it like a brand new build or was it an existing salon? An
existing salon that had done really badly. Invested £80,000 into the renovation and 3 months later we had a catastrophic flood. On a Friday night we had a burst pipe and then we came in and found we'd lost all our ceilings. And that journey of we'd had an incredible high press launch and we were fully booked for months to then we have to close everything. Luckily, I was insured and covered. And again, it's kind of nothing was as bad as it could have been. But I found it really hard to bounce back from that. And the team, I lost a lot of team in that time because they couldn't just wait for everything to be rebuilt. And so we'd had all this momentum and energy running up to the launch. And it always felt a bit cursed after that. And then after 3 or 4 years of trying to make that work, I thought that actually it's the location and the premises. So I looked for a third. We were about to open the third and we hit the double dip recession. So I'm so lucky. We got right up to signing and I never went in. And I nearly lost everything, including my house.
Wow.
That's incredible. So up until that point of buying the third and being so close to it, what help had you had along the way?
Zero.
Is it still zero?
Zero. And not because I was arrogant and didn't need help. I just didn't know that people got help. I didn't know that there was help available.
Yeah.
And so I was just wildly going, well, we'll try this. And if that doesn't work, we'll try something else. And I think what I'd learned from everything I'd been through is there's always another way, even when something epically fails. Like no one died.
Yeah.
You say that a lot.
All the time, yeah. It's our mantra. Nobody died, we can find a solution.
Yeah.
Everything's figure-outable.
Yeah, as you're sobbing in the shower tray over the latest VAT bill that you have no idea how to pay. Yeah.
So then what happened after that? So you went to buy number 3.
Pulled out.
Double dip recession.
I then realised that I needed to, the only way I was going to continue was to get help and to find what was I doing it for. Because I'd had a lot of fun, but I'd suddenly now realised it wasn't all rainbows. It wasn't all fun. Actually, this, shizzle got real.
Yeah.
And because I had almost lost everything through absolute poor financial planning, the businesses were thriving. I was just rubbish at managing my cash flow.
Yeah.
And I realised that because of the double dip recession, lending was hard to come by.
Yes, of course.
So nobody wanted to help me.
Yeah.
And suddenly when I decided I needed help and I reached out, I couldn't access anything.
Yeah.
So I reached out to my accountant. He was really the first person that I was really honest with and said, got myself in a bit of a pickle here. I don't really know what to do. And I remember when he opened, because back in those days you used to rock up at the end of the year with a carrier bag full of paperwork and receipts.
There you go.
How did any accountant do that back in the day? They were mad to do that. But he only really knew what had happened a year ago, not what was going on currently. And he said, Debbie, we need to work closer together. And we sat down and we had a good look at it. And at this point, I also had a recruitment agency for the hair and beauty industry.
Yes, of course. Yes.
I was working with the National Hair Federation, as it was then.
Yeah.
I was coaching. So I was spinning an awful lot of plates.
Yeah.
Driven by things that made me feel good about myself. Things that solved my problems. None of them with this is going to make me money. And I started to look with his help at planning, return on investment. And I realised that 80% of what I was doing in my business was killing my business.
What a guy.
Oh, he's in my life today.
Is he?
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah,
I love
he does
it.
all our family businesses now still.
Oh, God.
Yeah, incredible. And he gave me some real harsh truth. And he said, I know you are really proud of having multiple salon sites, but we were still chewing over the third one. And he said, can I give you some brutal honesty? And I love that he asked my permission.
Yeah.
And I said, please do. And he said, when you look at everything other than this big business, the core Arcana salon, if you look at everything else you're doing, do you love them enough that if there was no money involved, if they were just hobbies, would you still do them? And I kind of laughed and went, God, no. And he said, well, that is what you're doing. They're not bringing you in any money. He said, it's like you're playing Monopoly with these, you're handing over money left and right, but you're not making any money. Yeah. He said, and actually, when I look into the future, you're never going to make money because of what they are, what you do, etc. Yeah. And it was the hardest thing to hear, and I cried for a week. But it was the best thing, and I just, in the end, I walked away from the business. I didn't even sell it. I just closed the doors.
What, the salon?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Number 2.
Yeah. I moved. So at the same time, personally, I was having a lot of challenges. I'd just come out of an 8-year relationship and had really low self-esteem. And I just felt like I couldn't do it anymore. And my dad said, look, let me take over the main salon so that I can just leave you to deal with all that stuff.
Yeah.
And also sort your personal situation out. Because I was homeless again. Damn it.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of, how do you now rebuild with what you've learned and what you know? And outwardly, nobody in the world knew this was going on. Everyone thought I was award-winning, super successful.
Funny, isn't it?
And I thought, crikey, if anybody takes a peek behind this curtain, I'm finished. Nobody can know the depths of the debt and the inability to manage. I mean, my team, some of the things they put up with in terms of being paid late and checks bouncing, and it was horrible. Yeah, not a time I'm proud of. But I needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you needed to learn those lessons, didn't you?
Yeah.
Early on as well, because there was bigger things for you.
Yeah.
There was a bigger plan for you. We talked about like the universe and things happening at the right time. I just think you needed to learn that early doors.
Yeah, 100%. And very soon after that, I met my now husband. Life needed a bit more balance, and I realised I'd created this. Actually, the first lesson is that what I realised by cutting off all the extra stuff is that when I put all of those people into one place, I could more than halve my outgoings but double my profit.
Yeah.
And I was like, why didn't I do this before? Because I was driven by vanity and ego metrics.
Yeah.
Not by profit.
Look what I've got. Look what I've achieved.
Yeah. With my empty bank account.
Yeah.
And suddenly I realised I could turn over £1 million a year with a third of the cost and doing half of the work.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, yeah. Epiphany.
Yeah.
And I wish I had learnt that lesson 10 years earlier. But you can't.
You can't. No.
You needed to learn it then, but also that's the information you help other people learn, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And I remember you telling me that, and I think this is, I don't know who advised you this or whether it was you, but you told me that each salon was a different limited company in itself, so that one didn't affect the other.
There are various reasons for doing it, and it's all about tax planning.
Absolute genius.
Rather than tax evasion. You have to
Yes.
use a very fine line.
Yes,
Yeah, but
there
it
is,
was genius because ours is all under one. And I think ever since you said that, I've always thought, I need to keep my businesses separate as limited
As long as they
company.
are totally separate companies.
Yeah.
And so our barbers was me and my husband. The main salon was me and my dad.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have an active role, but that, they were there to separate those businesses. And if anything happened to me, I'm an only child,
yes,
and
of
I
course.
had no children, and there would be a legacy route for it. But yeah, and I think it's having those very honest conversations with successful business owners is the things that you kind of go, I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah.
Applying for a grant by renting an office because that grant is for a postcode. So you can take a rented office there and suddenly be eligible for a 25 grand grant. Why would you not do it?
Yeah.
So I'm like, is that illegal? No, it's perfectly legitimate if that's your legitimate office. So you've got to be in the rooms to have those conversations to learn just the little things that help.
Wow. So then how long did you focus on that one salon, the main salon, afterwards?
So when we had gone back into the one salon, very shortly after that, my dad passed away quite suddenly. And although he had never had an active role in running the business, apart from taking the cash to the bank, he had always been the person I spoke to about everything. And business can feel very lonely.
Yeah.
And when he died, I remember my salon manager, who had been my number two throughout all of this. She's the only person I'd let in and been honest with. In between when he died and the funeral, she handed in her notice. And I remember thinking, we were really good friends. Why would you do this to me? And it wasn't about me. She had something going on
her life.
with her. And she said to me, I'm so sorry to do this to you now. But again, actually, it was the best thing that could have happened to me, because suddenly had to think differently, behave differently, and I realised I wanted to sell the salon. And now I look back and I think I must have had a bit of a midlife crisis with Dad dying, her going. I suddenly thought I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
But in my head, I thought, you can't have done all this for nothing. So suddenly it became a profit beast. Everything I did was about how much money can I make, take, and sell this for. And that was when I really got deep into coaching.
Yeah. So it was Action Coach, wasn't it, that helped you?
Yeah, I'm Emerson Patton. Still in touch with him now.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it was Emerson.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I know Emerson.
Incredible fella. And he was an action coach at the time. Now he's got a different business. And how I had not done this from day one, I don't know. And I know that action coach is very Marmite, but I blooming loved it.
Yeah.
And I thrived on the
Because
structure.
you needed processes and structures, right?
Yeah.
At that time.
And also I needed somebody to be so obsessed with profit, because I wasn't. I was like, but I want it to feel nice and I want to enjoy. And he was like, tell me how much this is going to make you. And I needed that to transition into what we were knocking on for £1 million a year turnover when I
That is
started the
massive
business.
for a salon.
Yeah.
It's
And
huge.
very unusual.
In one tiny little high street.
Yeah.
We're not back street. We're a high street, but in a tiny village.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely
so-
amazing.
Yeah, that is high revenue, considering most salons are quibbling about getting to the VAT threshold.
Yeah.
That is mammoth.
Yeah, and that was nearly 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I didn't realise at the time how epic it was.
Yeah.
And there are times now I wish I hadn't sold it, because I now know that there are other ways that I could have done that and stayed connected. But I didn't know any of that stuff then. So
then Emerson helped you profit first, get lean and sell.
Yes.
And that was your goal.
And that was my goal.
How long did that process take?
2 years.
Right.
And I was in talks with the landlord about taking on the unit next door, because in my head it was sell or go big.
Yeah.
And I was talking to the landlord about taking the unit next door and doubling up, and the choice was, do I reinvest to go bigger or do I exit? And I remember speaking to the same accountant, and he said to me, you're never going to get that figure for your business. And I said, why not? He said, I just don't think that people pay that money for salons. And
they did £1 million turnover, I'm sure they will.
And I think this is the thing, is nobody had ever grown a £1 million turnover, 43 staff at that point, business in Milton Keynes. So he'd never seen it. And so I put it on the market despite his advice.
Challenge accepted. Thank you.
It's a bit of a theme in my life.
Yeah.
Oh, you think I can't do that?
Let me show you the way.
So I went and put it on the market, had an offer within 3 days, and I sold.
Amazing.
For the asking price.
How did that feel, Debbie, at the time?
Amazing in the moment that I got the offer.
Yeah.
When the money hit my bank account and I had to tell the team, it was the hardest day of my life.
Because they were your family and you're basically walking away from them.
And I'd lied to them.
Oh,
yeah. Horrendous. Oh.
I know, sorry, Debbie. I can feel it. Jeez.
Yeah. I can only imagine what that would feel like.
Yeah. And they felt as though, because this had been going on for months, and I'd never told anyone, because I knew that I could only sell that business for that amount of money if it was as good on that day as it was, as I said it was.
You have to keep it quiet,
And actually they proper hated me for about 24 hours, and then they were wonderful, and I'm still in touch with many of them now.
Yeah.
And the guy who bought it I'd chosen because he just sounded like he was really passionate about the team and the energy and the culture. Sadly, didn't end up being that way. But I really felt like I'd put it into safe, good hands. And then I felt really empty, because all I had known for 17 years was working in that business. And I had no social life. I had no children. I had no husband. I'd only just got married. So we had no life other than working. And it was
they were your family
weird.
And your friends, right?
Yeah.
And that was kind of like taken away, right?
Yeah.
But by choice, but
you didn't.
Very weird.
But again, visioning, I had never imagined what it would be like to get there.
So what did that day one look like?
I ate a lot of crisps in my pants. I watched a lot of trash telly.
Oh, it's that self-soothing day from your dreams. Right?
I
Do
cried
they?
so much.
It is like
Grief.
grieving, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And then I thought, what have I done? That was my income. And suddenly I had no plan, no income. I mean, I had a beautiful chunk of money in the bank, but I wanted to invest that into property. So
do you pay tax on that? Do you have to pay tax on a sale? Because I thought, I was talking to someone the other day, the only reason I'm asking is I thought if it was you sold it as a going concern, you don't have to pay.
So I'll be honest, I'm not an accountant, and I don't remember the nuts and bolts of it, but I remember there were a lot more bills than I'd planned for.
Yeah.
So you pay an awful lot out. I mean, you pay the salary at the end of the month after. I mean, that's a big chunk. 43 people. So because it's a month in lieu.
Of course,
And then you pay your VAT bill. For
everything.
And then you pay your corporation tax, and then on your profits are high because you've just. So it was. I do remember.
What sounds like a lot is like
eye-watering amount of outgoing,
which is why wealth planning is so important. Didn't know about that at the time.
No.
And then I had decided that we were going to invest in property. So the money then was just gone. So suddenly I had no business, no cash, because it was all going to be invested. And 3 days later, I just thought, what have I done? Biggest mistake of my life. How do I move forward? And I rang Emerson and said, do you know anybody that could use my skills? Could you pimp me out for any I'll do anything.
Because we've got to this point and now I don't know what to do.
Yeah, hurrah! Yeah. Oh! And so everyone I knew was like, oh my God, you must be so proud. And I was like, I've got no job. What am I going to do?
My purpose gone.
And my best friend, my chief bridesmaid and best friend, Sally, had been through the NatWest accelerator. And she said, I've seen an advert for a job, coaching. Hilarious. I was not a qualified coach. So I know you've helped other business owners. So why don't you take a look? And I went in and found I felt like I'd found my people. I just loved it from the second I walked in.
Is that Sharon?
Penny.
Yeah, and Penny, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Penny wasn't there at that point. It was a lady called Jodie who lives in Bedford. She's still in my network. Jodie and Sharon and Dale gave me the job and never looked back. Loved it.
How long have you been there now?
Nearly 6.5 years.
Wow.
And everyone said, you'll never be able to work for a corporate after running your own business. But I mean,
it's kind of...
You get the best of both worlds. She's again.
Challenges accepted.
So you'll get the best of both worlds because you're working with founders. Like this, you love this, don't you?
Yeah, so much.
What do you love most about it?
Oh, crikey, without sounding too Oprah, I genuinely feel like there is not a week that goes by where I don't... That sounds really anal.
Go on.
Okay, I'm going to say it and then
we can cut it out.
take it in the nicest way.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's a week goes by where I don't literally change somebody's life.
That's incredible.
No, but I wholeheartedly agree.
I feel ick saying it.
I can see you feel it, but it's the right thing to say.
I think it's fair to say you changed our... Well, I can only speak for myself. You changed my life. You changed my perception.
Is it for the better when I end up with you forever? I don't know.
What?
Surprise! Look who you're going to have in your life forever and ever and ever.
Uh-oh. I think you're just incredible. Like, you're an incredible coach. And like I said at the start, there are so many...
brutal sometimes.
Yeah,
you're incredible.
really
I learned
hard.
that from Sharon.
Really fluffing hard.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a few times I was like, okay,
really
tell me how you really feel, Gabby.
Truth serum, anyone? No.
Oh no!
I think that's good though.
No, but
only in a comfortable place.
Yeah, and you know when to push and when not to. Like that's.
But I always found, I don't know if you found this, but I was like the top of the chain in my business, always have been, and no one's ever told me that I'm wrong because it's my decisions. So then when I met you, I'm like, oh, I'm actually like.
I love that you remember it as I told you were wrong. I would never tell you were wrong, but I love that that's how it landed.
Yeah, it wasn't there. No, it wasn't like I was
the subtext.
It was have you thought about doing something different? I wasn't always right.
Yeah.
And that was good. That's exactly what I needed at that time. For sure.
So in my mind, what I remember vividly about our cohort was your ability to help us understand our mindset and how to adapt and adjust that based on your personality, the way that you learn. Do you love that part of what you do? Like, how big is mindset for you in the NatWest journey and with your coaching and with what you're doing now?
Great question. So NatWest content made me look really good. Like I really knew what I was talking about. No, I had never thought of it as mindset before I joined NatWest. It was just what life had presented me with, what I needed to do, and that there was no other way than being so tenacious and so
focused.
Yeah, if you want it, go and get it. And if you don't want it enough, you won't do it. And I think what I saw in the first cohort of people I coached was you could really tell the people who were going to get it regardless. And when I say regardless, even if it was the wrong thing to do, they were going to get it regardless. And the ones who had the most brilliant idea but were never going to get there.
Yeah.
And then there was a bunch of people in the middle that were my tribe. It was kind of I will listen, I will look at the data, I will make the decisions based on X, Y, Z. But if it's right, I will get it. And that bunch of people is the 80% that really do well on the programme. And so to go back to your question, because of my background in medical biology, I loved the science and the psychology of neuroplasticity. And so I get that mindset is a choice, it's a muscle you've got to work on.
Yeah.
But it also helped me to really understand why I had always done what I'd done.
Yeah.
Because I I had an amazing growth mindset. And to your earlier point, did you ever feel like a victim? Was that a choice? No one ever told me that was an option. I'd never met anybody who had opted out.
Yeah.
And so I think when you grow up watching Madonna and Margaret Thatcher, you do feel like you can do anything and be anything you want, and that's the power of role models.
Yeah.
Did your dad instill that in you as well, though?
My dad was a very... didn't expect much from the world, didn't want a lot. He was a very simple man. And so he never really understood my desire to want more, do more, have more, be more. And that really scared him. He just wanted me to be happy. And my mum, who is still in my life and I love dearly, she's a wonderful woman, but she had only ever wanted me to get married and have children.
Yeah.
And so anything other than that was, inverted commas, a failure.
Yeah.
And she didn't understand why I would do all this and put myself through this and not go for coffee mornings and have inane chat.
Find yourself a
balls the hell out of me.
It's generational change though as well, isn't it? And like pushing through the barriers that maybe that generation, as a generalised view, weren't used to doing and didn't feel like they could.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting.
But the more I met beauty owners or hair owners who said, when I go into a room of business owners, I feel inferior. Or I would talk to women who say, well, when I go into a room, men don't take me seriously. And I just at that point thought, did I not get the memo? Because there is no room I go into where I don't feel like I deserve to be there. And I realised I was in the minority of feeling like that. Yeah. And I thought, I need more people to feel this fearless and courageous, and because actually I'm not getting any backlash. Even on social media, I didn't have any... Oh, God, open myself up now. There's not haters. I don't get any snidey comments.
Yeah.
There's no downside of being bold and daring. And I think it's because it comes from a place of authenticity and candour and experience.
But how would you deal with it, though, if you did get it?
Block and delete.
There we go, then. So you're not even giving it the energy. You're not even welcoming it into your space. It's like, don't need that.
It's not as,
See, I worry about that. I worry a lot about opening myself up to the world and to have people, like, on socials especially, like, the backlash of, you're wrong, you shouldn't be saying this, or whatever.
But you're trailblazing as well, aren't you? So you're going against the tide. That's the challenge, and
disruptive.
But it is disruptive, and I'm like, I just stay in my lane and look after what I know, rather than that. But I need more Debbie Lewis energy.
I'm already. I'm starting to sense we can make progress on that.
Thanks.
But only if it's what you want.
Yeah, it is. I need to block and delete. I need to take a stance on that for sure.
And I think a lot of what holds us back is fear of rejection, fear of failure.
100%.
And the more I learn about the psychology of that and people's drivers, the more I'm determined that the more we have conversations about it and the more we see people share their stories of success and failure, the more progress we can make.
It's really important, isn't it?
What are your greatest drivers? Like, what are the things that you do now that make your heart absolutely sing? What do you love about what you're doing?
I guess it's not legacy in its truest sense. I don't have children, and whilst I never thought I wouldn't have children, I'm not a maternal person. I would much rather have a dog than a child to look after. But I have no legacy. I'm not passing anything down, and it's not important to me that there's a statue of me or that I've written books. But what is important is that me being here on Earth has served some sort of purpose.
Made a difference.
And I also think the more I do what I do and the more people give me the feedback, I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that I've got off a stage presenting and somebody will come over in tears and say, I so needed to hear that. And I just think, I am not special. What I do is so ordinary. So I just think, crikey, if there were more people like me doing that stuff and other people could feel that thing, what beautiful ripple effect that would cause.
Well, you've caused some goosebumps on my
me too.
I think you are. I know.
I totally disagree with your comment.
It hurts my heart
special.
to hear you say you're not special, because you're so special to us, and we've spent if you think about the time that we've actually spent together, it's relatively short, and you've made a huge impact.
6 whole hours.
Yeah, on both our lives.
That's just this podcast.
So I totally see you as a beacon of light and absolute inspiration. I just want to see more of it.
Yeah,
really
I want to
selfishly.
see you on stage looking after businesses and like leading people, making them feel more confident in themselves, giving them that block and delete energy, like
So
because
empowering.
you are such a leader of positive vibes. Like, follow me, guys. Let's go and have the best time of our lives. And I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah,
Let's
we
follow
go.
her.
We got
Anyway.
no plan.
That's fine.
There's no
we're there.
plan. It's done on a wing and a prayer. But who cares? Because it's going to be great.
You are an incredible leader. Like,
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
The best of all that you could possibly imagine. Yeah. And that's not me just blowing smoke. That's genuine. And that is the energy that you create to the people that you're presenting to, the people that you coach with, and the stages that you stand on. You are epic.
I'm coming back.
Yes. That is exactly the same energy that founders need, isn't it?
I've definitely found my
Supercharged.
calling.
Yeah.
I love what I do with all my heart. Long may it continue. I don't think I'll ever do anything else. I can't see me ever working outside the small business support arena in whatever guise that looks like. And I do love a stage.
What's next? You do love a stage,
I love a
don't
stage. Any
you? You're
excuse to wear a
really,
scamper dude.
really chiseling good at it.
Thanks so much. I don't. If I'm honest, I don't know. I don't know what's next. I am super grateful for the platform that the work with NatWest provides me, the opportunities to go and speak on incredible stages in front of thousands of people. I love the work I'm doing with women in business, and I never thought that would be my niche because I actively repelled women in business stuff when I was in business. I love supporting underrepresented voices. I think that's my bag. But I don't know. Got to finish building this house.
What topics do you talk about on stage? Is there anything in particular, or is it just whatever?
Mostly mindset, confidence, communication, building team, investment, the landscape of funding and finance.
For investment wise, for me, I think the conversations we've had about investment, or what I've learned at NatWest, made me look at investment in very, very different light. It is fascinating, but I think from a female founder, I need to hear it from a fellow female founder.
Yeah, and see it.
I need to know what my options are, rather than, because it takes that intimidation away, doesn't it?
Yeah. And you know, crazily, that a lot of the female founders that I work with who have successfully raised don't want to talk about it.
Why
is that?
Fear of judgment, feeling that they didn't get there in a traditional route and they'll be judged, that they hate that they had to go and ask for money.
Should we go and get investment and then talk about it?
What for? What?
I don't care what we do it for, but let's go and share it.
For what, Moos?
Yeah.
We need to find a sponsor first of all.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
You should always make investment decisions based on accurate financial advice. I'm not a chartered banker.
This is like disclaimer number 3 of the app.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we put it in the show notes?
I'd love to do that though, wouldn't you?
What, get investment for Wild Moos?
Well, no, just get investment for something and then be able to talk about it in a way
Yeah.
that is accessible, relatable, and
I
breaks
think
down
getting
barriers.
investment with somebody was much more fun. The thought of getting investment on my own, I'm a bit like...
Well, let's just do it for Wild Moos. We need a poddy studio, don't we?
But you've borrowed money to grow your businesses.
Yeah, I've borrowed from NatWest.
Yeah, and when I was in business, I thought the only way you grew a business was to go to a bank and ask for money.
Yeah.
And well, now I understand that actually the pound that you get from an investor can be so much more powerful than a bank pound. Nothing wrong with a bank pound. But you're
Because of
getting
the knowledge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
you're
knowledge,
buying
the
skills,
connections.
Yeah.
But also the accountability. Because often when you borrow money from, insert lender here, it's faceless, and you kind of go, well, if I can't pay it back, it's a limited company.
Yeah.
But if you've borrowed money from a
Never thought
person,
of that.
you've got to
connection.
look at them.
Yeah. In the eye.
That's a really good point. Because that's the relationship I have with my business partner, because she invested, but we went in equally and then went to the bank to get the other half.
Sharing a business gives me shudders. don't think I could do partnership.
I couldn't do it as a normal partnership where someone else is running the business, but then I feel like I miss that when you see business partners that are doing it together, that hash it out together. I really miss that. I really feel like I'm missing it. However, the beauty of it is that Helen is in the sidelines.
Yeah.
She calls herself a dozing partner. She's like, I will do all the books, you do the payroll calculations, I will post payroll, I will do all the VAT returns, I'll do everything you need from an accountant, and I will help you, but I don't want to participate in the operations.
Yin and yang
It's
skill
a really
It's got
good.
but you have clear lanes. Like,
We have
really,
very
really
clear lanes,
clear
and I still, even though I can make all the decisions, I will still go to her like, so Helen, what do you think about this? And although she's an accountant and she generally, financially is quite risk averse, but she's really gung-ho. And if I'm like, I've got this idea, what do you think? She's like, yeah, let's just do it. Why not?
What we've got to lose.
And I need that.
Yeah.
So I don't go to her loads. We have a conversation every week and a little catch up. But yeah, she normally tells me what is really happening.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
gives me the accountancy bad news. So
Good.
Amy, I'm like, oh, blah, bore off.
So I thought we could do this.
Yeah, like, she's like, no money.
We all need one of those people.
We
in
do.
our
So it is a really
Grounders.
good yin and yang.
Yeah.
But she is very adamant she doesn't want investment at the minute. But it, as we scale and grow, it might change.
Yeah. What about you, Nicole?
Oh, investment.
What would you put your investment towards?
Oh, something I don't know. I tell you what I need most right now in my business is to be released away from the in so I can work on the on.
Time, task, freedom.
Yeah. So I'd buy up some of that time
Yeah.
so that I could...
What, more superheroes?
Yeah, potentially more superheroes.
Process systems automation.
Yes. Yeah. First step and then scale up. But that's terrifying because I feel like I have been fannying around having a business and having babies and trying to desperately make them work together, and now hope is won. I'm going, right, come the fudge on, Bridget.
Shizzle's got real.
Yeah, what you doing?
I don't think when you've got that first year of baby, I don't think you can give it your all in business
No.
anyway. And I know what that feels like when you're coming out the other side and you're like, oh yeah, I really need to focus on this. I've been coasting for a while now.
I just feel like there's epicness. You know how you were saying earlier, you know in your bones that something's coming, that something's changing, that it's evolving. That's happening. And I'm making the steps towards that, but I've just needed to stop fannying around and get on.
There is greatness in all of us.
Oh,
There
for
really
sure.
is, isn't
For
there?
sure. For sure.
What are you excited about in your future?
I feel like I've lived 100 years already in the amount of things I've done and experienced, but I feel like I'm only just getting started.
Oh, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel excited for
Oh, I'm
you.
really
I've got
excited.
that all in my belly.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh.
yeah. Like a little bit nervous, but also super excited.
Oh, I feel like I could do anything, but I just got to decide what I want to do. So yeah, watch this space.
You are bloody amazing, isn't she?
I just love that attitude. I love that attitude of, we need to all embody a little bit of DL.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to you.
There we go, thanks. When you literally can go, I can do anything, I just don't know what it is yet.
But let's keep it real. This is the highlights of a good day having a professional podcast conversation.
Yeah.
There are still days when I lay in bed way past the time I should have got up, crying into my pillow about the uncertainties of, what's ahead and decision making and financial risk. And it's not that when I say these words, they sound easy and everybody should just live by this mantra and, it's all happiness. But actually there are so many tough days still. It's not easy. And you don't always make the right decisions. You don't always say the right thing. You don't always give people the right stuff that they need to hear. But as long as you're doing your best and you keep going and you listen to the feedback and you're self-aware, you can't do any more.
Do you have a mentor?
I have mentors for different aspects of my life. So I have a property mentor. I have a professional speaking mentor. And I have got coaches in my friendship group who mentor me more than they know.
I love that.
You can never hang up the hook. How would you say that? You can never hang up the coat of a coach, I imagine.
Yeah. We go out
You're
for
always
dinner
wearing it.
and I'll say something and Penny's amazing and Penny will go, can I just play that back to you? And I go, oh, she's coaching me. And I love it. I love that they challenge me.
Yeah.
It's important to have people in your world like that, though, isn't it?
So
Who
important.
will have those conversations with you and...
Yes, thank you.
And there are a lot of things that are on, Instagram memes that are very throwaway, but actually a lot of them have true meaning. So that you are the product of the people you surround yourself with, and the conversation is different when you're with high performers. And I honestly think your network and the people you spend your time with is the biggest game changer.
Yeah.
I agree, because I've made huge changes since me and Nicole have been spending lots of time together, because before it was just like a dog walk, in COVID or whatever.
Yeah.
Since we've spent time together and we've spoken daily, I feel like I've levelled up.
Yes.
I feel like my focus is, I'm on fire.
Send that
my
invoice,
focus.
Nicole.
We're going to be working together now.
Yeah.
So she's doing all the startup marketing for us, for new salon launches. So salon number
And
7.
we're talking to ITV this afternoon.
Yeah.
She's going to be on
Amazing.
telly.
She's got me
On Tutseller.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Make sure you've got your contracts and agreements.
But I think when you are with people that want the best for you and want to see you succeed, that are your cheerleaders, that you can go as far as...
It's the belief.
And
isn't it?
that's the true value of entrepreneurial communities.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're around people who make you feel like you can, and that they want you to win, and that on the days where you are crying, they'll comfort you, and probably they've been through something similar.
Yeah.
You just got to find your tribe.
So important, isn't it? And when you're in that beginning stage of founders, new startup, we all know how lonely that is, don't we? And that's why we've done this, isn't it? So we can help people, as many people as we can. Just like, you're not alone.
In your ears, making you laugh.
Sometimes.
And if you're somebody who, whenever you go into those environments, you get comparisonitis and it paralyses you, get a coach to overcome that. Because there are people who don't thrive in those environments because they feel like everybody else is winning, everybody else is doing better than them, and actually that causes them to shrink because they feel like they're failing. If that resonates with you and you think, well, I don't get that when I go, then get a coach, get through those blockers.
Yeah.
How do you find, what would be your best tips for finding the right coach for you as an individual?
It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, I if I'm honest, I don't think that there is a tick box exercise you can do to get, you got to kiss a lot of frogs.
It's like dating, isn't it?
Yeah, have discovery calls. But I also think, controversially, that coaches are there for a season or a reason. If you should only use a coach when you need something or you've recognised that you are not where you want to be and they can help you navigate that. Otherwise, I think being surrounded by peers who are in a similar situation with similar growth aspirations can be really powerful because you don't know what you need, you don't know what you don't know. But I think having access and continually seeking out next level mentors is the game changer. So you're not trading time for money as a coach to solve a problem. You are investing in a relationship that is lengthy and they will walk with you through and to find somebody that's a couple of steps ahead. And that's harder because if you're disrupting or you're doing something that is different,
Who's doing it?
maybe there isn't somebody who's 2 steps ahead. But for the average business owner, they're not going to be inspired by Stephen Bartlett. They love to hear his story, but they couldn't be mentored by him because he's too far ahead. So you've got to find somebody that their journey, their path is only a year or 2 ahead, in my opinion.
And then be with them for a little bit and then move on.
The coach that gets you through your Sunday league is not going to be the one to take you into the Premiership. You've got to escalate with those different levels.
It is hard finding them because there's a lot of BS, isn't there, out there?
It's a lot of sharkies.
There's a lot of sharks and a lot of noise when it comes to coaching and mentoring.
There sure is.
It does feel like coaching as an industry is really saturated at the minute. I don't know whether that's because of where I am in business and you've just
got to do your due diligence, haven't you?
That's the algorithms at work.
Yeah.
I think there is a difference between a accredited coaching.
Yeah.
So always ask people, what's your qualification? Can I see your insurance? Do your due diligence. But to your point about the sharks and the BS, I have met an awful lot of educators who run communities to build entrepreneurs who have zero education, zero training, but they still get good results. So actually let the results tell you if this is right for you. Because I don't want to knock them. Some people do a terrible job but get amazing outcomes because they've got a great system, process, tool, technique.
It's a really good point.
Really good point, yeah.
And equally, you can have amazing people who've got no processes, systems, plans, techniques, and then what are you going to learn?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just need someone braver than me, I think. That's like going to lead me a little way and then go, here you go, push you over.
Well, you've got each other.
Yeah.
Set accountability. But be tough. It's that you make a decision, the mindset of envisioning. You've got to be really clear on your vision. If you don't know where you're going, you're not going to get there quickly. So decide what you want, backcast from that, make a plan, and then hold each other accountable. We can all be coaches to each other. We can all be supporters. And then when you realise you've got something that you can't overcome
Together
in a friendship pair or a support, then seek it out. Seek it out. But I do agree with you, the higher you get, the harder it is to find a relatable role model, because there are very few people now who truly under the hood inspire me. It becomes so much harder to find someone, but then you take a little bit from each person.
I guess you're identifying the gaps that you've got and it's getting laser focused on those gaps and trying to plug them.
Yeah, mine's definitely franchise now.
Yeah,
Definitely franchise.
You've got Tim.
I've got Tim. Yes, I've got Tim.
just got to tell Tim what you need, what you want.
Yeah, he knows. He's braver as well, which is great, bolder. But he also has that vision. He walked into my salon and just went, "Oh wow!" And what is it? Wednesday morning, and you're packed. Yeah. Wow, I know what you're after. I know what you're doing. And I was like, "Oh, what's that then?"
Can you tell me?
Can you tell me, Tim? He's like, "We're gonna have one of these in every market town." I was like, "Are we?" Great.
Amazing.
Which you are.
Yeah.
Watch the space.
I know, right?
What number are you on?
Number 7 is opening in the summer.
Wow. That's incredible. Congratulations.
Thanks, love. Thanks. Yes, we've just had a transition with number 3 salon. She's exited her franchise agreement and then we've resold the territory. So that's going under a refit.
Fresh blood.
Yeah, it needs 5 years, a long time to have a business, especially with COVID. And
it's your first franchisee to have too.
Yes. The first of many, I think, actually, because the Winchester franchisee's already got 3 she wants.
What about you?
What's
next?
Oh, I don't know. I'm actually really enjoying being on my feet. Really, really
loves
enjoying.
the teaching, don't you?
I got the vibe from your social media post, and I know that social media doesn't always tell you the truth. That's the happiest I've seen you in a very long time.
Oh, you're giving me goosies.
Her marketing day.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.
You're
I really
so
did.
good at
It's
it.
tiring. And I'm having a lot of conversations at the minute that are kind of, do you want to come and do this with me? Like other people asking to work together on stuff. So I'm excited for what that's going to do.
Yeah.
And then after doing I didn't realise that's the first time that we've run that, what the foundation course was going to do. And people are walking away from it saying they feel inspired, they feel empowered. I did not for one second think that would be an outcome that we would achieve. I thought that people would feel like they had a plan and that they knew were a bit clearer on what they're doing. But it's the emotive side of it that I wasn't expecting. And it keeps happening. Like we spoke to someone yesterday who'd done the course and is Smriti, who said she's so excited because of the energy and the impact and the environment that we had facilitated. That's massive.
Yeah, I feel like every founder should do your foundation course. I really do. But the businesses that were there was so many different types of business. You couldn't have written like the variation of businesses that were
It
there.
gives me the fear. Like we talk about squeaky bum time, and that for me is like, whoa, that's a big old mountain to climb. But I'm here for it.
But if you focus on the outcomes and how those people and their feedback made you feel, there's nothing you wouldn't do to
do that again.
Repeat that.
What I'm learning at the minute is my drivers. So I've spent so long going, right, we need this much in the house to survive. Goal.
Ooh.
But I'm not driven like that.
No, and the fear of, if that's all you need
that's all
to
I'm
get by,
go.
that's all you're going to achieve.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's actually sat
Yeah,
in
you
my
totally
chest.
ready
I saw
to
that. I was like,
coach.
energy got to change.
careful.
But there's been an element of survival because
Of course.
we had a baby and then
COVID,
yeah. But I am learning now, because I'm not driven by money, I'm not driven by finance. I love financial freedom, but that's because of what that offers outside of that. So I've done a lot of work on values, and if I can focus, like you say, on what we're delivering, the impact that that's having on individuals, that makes my heart sing day in, day
Be
out.
careful, it's addictive.
Yeah. I can imagine, yeah. I really, really enjoyed it.
Because also there were businesses that came to you after that foundation course that now want your help, because what you've done is open up the doors that marketing is accessible. Because when you're a founder, you don't think you can afford it.
Yeah.
You don't think you can access that level of support. And what you've done is taught people that there's marketing agencies.
Demystified.
You have, like, my perception of investment.
Yes, yeah.
Is what you've done is change that for marketing for people.
I'd love to make it free.
You'd love to make it free of charge.
Yeah.
The challenge with free, there's nothing wrong with free.
We can't. I don't think there's no way that we can. But if there was a way to facilitate that, where it was accessible, because the annoying thing with marketing is you always need it when you've got no money.
What about if you had, like, your wild cards? What about if you had one person on each on each session that really can't afford it, but really is subsidised by the others? Yeah. So everybody that's there knows that there is, there's.
But also, there's the shared prosperity fund from your local authority. They will have pots of money that are there to support business owners. So if you look into bids and tenders and applying for this money, that's what grants do. They make it fully funded or sponsored. By a company who wants to get in front of those types of businesses. Yeah. There are ways to make it free. Yeah. The challenge with free is
who it draws in and
the commitment that those attendees have.
It
not
becomes
always
transaction. Yeah, I can see what you mean.
Slightly less commitment, but also it's not sustainable because it's always dependent on somebody else covering the bill.
But also, if you're in that founder stage, I think. I'd love to help people with business plans, like writing business plans and things. But if you had, you're at that founder stage, that should be part of their startup fee. It's a £500 investment to really niche down on who your customer is or your client is. That's not a huge investment when you're at founder stage and you're looking to start your business. You should just plan for that.
And half of this is me saying that I want to help, I want to make a difference, but half of it will probably be playing safe because... I struggle with saying, it's this much. Like, if you want to do this, it needs to be this much. I still struggle with that. So I've got my own blockers and my own mindset challenges that I need to overcome in order to make that.
A broad brush, that is women in business. They statistically are purpose over profit. Yeah. And want to help more than they want to charge. Not every woman, but it's not sustainable.
No.
So you can still do good.
Yeah.
And charge money.
I think it's having that separation, isn't it? Filling your love cup, doing good, but running a profitable business.
Yeah.
And also the value you're giving, you don't need it to be free. People need to pay that because they will get so much from it.
And the more money you earn, the more you can give.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks for coaching me.
On that note, Debbie Lewis, thank you so much for coming and spending time with us.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for being so kind. And you are amazing. So please keep being amazing. But also, be a tiny bit braver.
Yes. Let's all be a bit braver.
Okay. Be brave.
Oh, actually, that's a Jazz Ampour. She has a talk called 10% Braver. So I better not steal it. Give her credit.
Show notes, all right.
Watch her talk.
Really?
Disclaimer number 4. Yeah.
Put that in the show notes. I need to watch that. Be 10% braver.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Thank you, Debbie Lewis. Thanks for listening.
Don't forget to give us a cheeky follow, wild_moos.
And if you've got anything that you want to hear from us, or if you've got any questions, please just ping us a DM. We'd love to hear from you.
And please subscribe.
Bye.